Hi, everybody. This is Joseph Schooland. Good to see you. I'm an account manager here at Populi, or I guess I can't see you, but good for you to see me. Today we're going to go over library. That'll be fun. We'll have this recorded, put on our YouTube channel. And maybe some of you know me already. If not, maybe you probably know Nick Holloway. Those are our two account managers here. And so you might know one of us, or of course you might know our support team. We've got a bunch of folks there. Particularly, we keep certain ones in the front line so that you can get to know them, hear their voices, and if you call them on the phone and interact with them over email. So we love for you to get to know us. We love for you to reach out, and let's get started. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have on my other screen right over here a Q&A box. So if you have any questions, just type them right in there and I will be able to sort through those nice and easily. The chat questions sometimes get lost, so focus on the Q&A when you want to ask a question. And we are going to go ahead and start. Very good. Let's go ahead and log in for our library group training. Before we begin, like always, if you're new here and you didn't know how to find help, I want to tell you how to find help because I think that's the most important thing. If you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose as we go through this training, then it's probably good. If you only learn one thing from this whole training is how to get help from our support team and all the different avenues of help that are available to you. If you need help, just log in and up in the top right, you can, if you're the type who likes to research on your own, click search to knowledge base. If you want to reach out to our support team, you can open a support request. Once we answer those, they will get emailed to you, but you can also view those here. If you have an idea for a feature request, we'll post that there. You can also, by the way, sign up for our release notes where we show all the features we've been adding every single week. We send out a release note email once a week if you sign up for those. And then finally, if you want to reach out to our other clients and ask them how they're using Populi over a certain thing, you can visit the user forum. We do phone and email support for all our faculty and staff users, all of them. You don't have to be a key Populi person at your school to get help. You just have to be a faculty or staff to get phone and email support. The phone number is 877, number 4, and the word Populi. So hopefully you can just memorize that real quick. 877, the number 4, and the word Populi. If not, you can find it on our main web page pretty easy, and I'll show you how to find it in our help section. And I'm not forgetting students. We also do support students, but for them, it's email only. Now, that being said, we're not going to yell at anybody if they give us a call on the phone. We're going to do everything we can to help them out. But usually when it comes to a student, they're usually asking questions like, how do I register for some class when registration is not open? Or how do I, stuff like that, where they really need to go talk to the registrar to get in a certain class. But we'll do everything we can. Let's click on the knowledge base here. While that's loading, I'm just going to pull up 2 other ways that you can get help. One is on our YouTube channel. Just search for Populi and you'll find it. You can see interviews, you can see new features, live training events like this one that go up there. And you can also reach out to your account manager and schedule your own live training one-on-one where you get to talk instead of just be there quiet and type in questions with your account manager. So I could see people, starting with a video or starting with a group training, getting a good overview, and then making an appointment with their account manager to dig a little deeper, or just giving support a call with a particular question. And so those are some great ways to get help. And I know different people like to get help in different ways, so you guys can just choose your own adventure on that one. There's a few articles here that are very important. One is getting started with your school's new Populi site. Even if your school has been using Populi for a decade, it's great to look through this because this has all the tutorials for each section and how they kind of fit into each other. Another one that's great is how to contact us and what we can do for you. We have our phone number up here if you forgot it. Hopefully you memorized it, but we've got it right there if you forgot it. And then finally, you can choose a bubble to decide what you want to learn about. We're going to learn about library today, particularly getting started with Populi Library. Now, I'm going to leave you hanging there for just a sec before we go into the setup, because I just want to show you some of the things library can do. So first off, you can post different text here on your library as some information. You can also have hours and have those be posted. If someone shows up at your library and wants to search your database, all they have to do is type in something and Populi will do a fuzzy matching search to try and find what they want. Very similar to how Google searches or Amazon searches, trying to find, even if they misspelled it, what they're looking for. I could zoom in on this and say, actually, I'm only looking for a certain resource. I only have 3 here, but you could add as many resources as you want. Maybe I'm looking in a certain library. Maybe I'm looking under a certain field, title, author, subject. Maybe I don't want the fuzzy matching turned on. I want it to be an exact match. So I can turn that on, or I can even dig a little deeper and read about advanced search options. If you're familiar with searching in Google, you probably know about stuff like this, where you can add things like or exact, or minus to exclude something, or quotes to make sure it's searching that specifically in a certain order, a certain string. So some of that kind of Boolean operators, and you can put in different titles and names. So if you prefer that, you can search that way too. Now notice that as soon as I type in my search, I can see a list of books having to do with my search topic with Plato. And I can quickly see their call numbers, and I can quickly see whether or not they were checked out or on hold or available. I can then go in to one of these books. I can place a hold on it if I want. There's some social media type stuff recommending and writing reviews that's not necessary, but some people have fun with it. And I can even look up and down the shelf without going out into the library. I could do this from home if I was a student. All right, that is the catalog. Or the search, and I really quickly wanted to show you patrons, and then we'll dig into kind of the setup and we'll learn everything else. If I want to see my patrons, I can quickly email them all, text them, get them on a spreadsheet, add a new one. By default, Populi is going to automatically add all students, faculty, and staff from the SIS portion of Populi. So you don't need to ever bring those in. Those will just come in automatically as a possible patron. But if you want to add a guest patron, maybe from your community, you can add that here. I can also drill down and search by a particular word. Looking for Mark, there he is. I can search with only those who have items checked out, only those who have items overdue, only those with fines. So nobody with fines. I probably don't have my fines turned on because I think he's been overdue for a while. So hopefully you guys are running your library better than I'm running my fake library here. All right, so a couple things I just want to show you how it can come together. Let's look at one more thing here, checkout. So Populi works great with a barcode scanner. You can buy one for, I don't know, 20 bucks on Amazon, and you can plug it right into your computer, and you can drive that cart around. Maybe it's a laptop, and scan books on the shelves to do inventory. You can scan books when it's time to check out. I can scan the barcode, which you can create with Populi, by the way. You can create barcodes and labels, spine labels, so we can scan that. And the student and faculty and staff ID cards that can be generated either from the library here or from the main section of the SIS, like their student ID card and stuff. That will also double as a library card, and you can scan that and it will immediately pop up their name so that you can complete the checkout. If you don't have the scanner, you can search them, but having a scanner makes your life so much easier when you're working with Populi. All right, so those are a few high-level things, giving an idea, basic stuff. Now let's look into setup and dig down some of the details. Step 1, set up libraries and locations. I'm not going to click on any of these articles. You can click into these later and dig into them. Some of them are extremely high level and don't have a lot of information in, but they have links to other articles with more detail. We're trying to keep it high level so it's easy to scan, and then you can click into it if you want to get more detail. And so just so you know about that. But let's look back at my fake school and we'll kind of walk through it that way. Step 1, set up your libraries and locations. So let's go into our settings here, and we've got our libraries right here. By the way, there's a bunch of miscellaneous settings we can set up. I'll go over some of those in just a little bit. But here I have 2 libraries, my Moscow library and neighboring library. So these are actually 2 different locations, and I even put my hours in, and I can add a new library, give it a name. If I want, I can give it a global due date. This is, for example, Maybe summer is coming and your library is going to shut down when summer starts. And so you want the global due date to be the beginning of summer, or maybe even a week before, a couple days before, so that people have time to close everything out. Or maybe a library is shutting down completely and you want to give it a global due date then. If you collect fines, tie it to an asset account, and then you can add some locations as like first floor. Oops. So here we go. First floor, I didn't click save. Add another location after that if I want, put in some hours, hit save, and then that will save for me. Actually, we can dig into one of these. Here's Moscow Library, first floor, second floor, basement, and reserve shelf. So I can put those in, and my only hours are on Monday. All right, so libraries and locations. Number 2, set up your loan policies. I only have one loan policy, and it's for everybody. We can look at that one right now. By the way, I can add multiple loan policies for different types of patrons, different types of resources, different libraries. I can add as many of these as I want. Let's look at the one I've already got set up. So I've got patron types is just everybody, but I could choose a specific patron type. Remember, student, faculty, and staff are all in, and then patron, this is your guest patron that I talked about earlier. We could also do, so I could say students and guests maybe have a little shorter window than faculty and staff. Faculty and staff can hang on to it for 2 months, and students can only hang on to it for 3 weeks, something like that. I can also choose a specific resource to match with this loan policy. I can choose a specific library to match with this loan policy, and even a particular location. Maybe this is my reserves. I can tie it to a particular collection or resource. I can allow checkout or not, and I can do days, weeks, months, hours. Maybe since it's reserves, I'm going to do 1 hour. Grace period is 0.5 hours. Or let's see, sorry. We'll just say no grace period. It's just 1 hour. Fine after that, 10 cents per hour. Max fine, $50. Stuff like that. You could also imagine doing more traditional 21 days with a grace period of 3 days. Lost after 180 days. Do I allow to hold? Yes or no? How many times are they allowed to renew? What's the max balance they can hold before they can check out a book? And what's their max? So max balance versus max checkout. There you go. I can delete this if I want. So I could create a different loan policy for a lot of these different resources, reserves, patron types, so on. Next up is fill in your library's general settings. Here we are back over here. If you have questions about this, you can reach out to our support. I don't think I'll go over each one of these individually. Oh, actually, I probably could. That's not too many. So library fine fees. In order to do this, you need to ask your financial admin to create a corresponding fee that you're allowed to use. And so they created library fine for me, and I can put that in. What's that greeting message? Remember in the front, I said there's a message up there. It said, welcome to your school's library. This is where I decide what that is. By default, Populi is going to integrate with Amazon.com. The reason is because whenever you add resources, Amazon.com has the largest number of images and highest quality of images. So those will just automatically come right into your Populi. If the problem though, is that Amazon, for us to be able to use their data like that, they require that we have a link somewhere, like a buy now link. It's pretty subtle. We try and keep it hidden, but if you don't want that on there at all, then you can choose yes to disable that. It's a little backwards, so pay attention to that. By default, it's enabled, and you choose yes to disable it. By default, Populi is going to automatically assign the next available barcode number to new resource copies, so it will keep track and make sure it's all unique. You can disable that, though, if you are trying to keep track of those barcode numbers manually. Lost resource email notification. How does your classification system work? And then finally, Z39.5 servers. These are our default ones: Library of Congress, New York Public Library, Ohio Link, Yale, Washington State University. And then you can add other ones manually yourself, like I did with the National Library of Medicine. I'll show you when we add resources that we'll be able to pull in resources using these servers. Good. Next step, adding a resource. Now I need to find a book. So to add a resource, we're going to go right here. I don't have a scanner. I do not have a scanner on me, so I'm going to add the ISBN number of a book I have in my hands here, if I can find it. Let's see. Normally I would just give up and not waste your time, but I really think this would be helpful to see. So I'm going to find the ISBN number. All right, so I would normally just scan this in, but I can enter it in, hit search. I can use other codes too, EAN, ISSN, ASIN, and so on. And now Populi has been able to pull in from both Library of Congress and Ohio Link matching copies. I'll go ahead and go with the Library of Congress and click use this match. And Populi pulled in from Amazon that nice image, gave it the title, type. I can put in a replacement price. I can change a type if I want. I can do all this stuff is populated for me, which is great. I can now add a copy. Populi will give me a call number and generate a barcode for me. I can give a purchase price for this and then give it a status, maybe not quite available for checkout because I'm still working on some things, or I can make it available right away and where the library, where it's going to live, what floor, and so on. And then hit add resource and we're done. I could even add multiple copies if I wanted to. If you're starting from scratch and you want us to import your MARC records, then you can reach out to us and let us know, reach out to support. I think there is a way to import these in batch, upload a file by clicking this. That can be a little finicky, so if it doesn't work, just reach out to our support and we can do it for you. Or if you're, so we can definitely help. That's part of what you're paying for. One thing you should know is that Populi actually does not store library data as a MARC record. It stores it as in a database. So it's more of a Dublin core style, and that helps us do the searching we do and so on. So we can import MARC records, but we don't store them as MARC records, and then we can translate them back to MARC records if you ever want to leave Populi. Next up is label templates. These you're probably going to want to reach out to support to help with, but we can do, if you have some labels that you want us to print on, then we just need to Populi needs to understand how large is the paper that you're printing on, how many labels are on it, how many rows, how many columns, all that kind of stuff. And so then we'll be able to get that working for you. You can even add some extra fields. And so if you have all these labeled, then you'll be able to just scan those right in. Next up is once you've got some of these basic settings set up, if you have not enabled library yet, you're going to have to ask your account administrator to go into account settings and customizations and turn on library. So enable library, switch this to yes and hit save settings, and then this button will pop up. If you don't want that on, maybe you're going to turn your library off because you're not going to use it anymore. You're switching to another library. You can come in here and switch it to no to turn it off so that it will no longer be there, so students won't be confused and try and click on that link. All right, finally, let's just do a stroll around library a little bit. I showed you some of the catalog. You can also browse resources by choosing different conditions and bringing up certain amounts and then export those or print labels for all of those. I can look by subjects. I can build a batch for different reasons. I can do inventory by going down a shelf and just scanning each book, and then Populi will tell me if there's books missing from that shelf that should be there, or if there's a book there that shouldn't be there, and so on. I can schedule things on my calendar for library. I can post links. All these are links, nothing fancy. For example, this EBSCOhost link is not an integration. It's just a link away to EBSCOhost. If I was a patron, I can look at my own profile and see my own loans and unpaid fines and any books I have on hold. If I'm staff, then I can export library card for this person or even myself. We already looked at patrons. We can look through circulation. Right now, I've got a couple active loans out there. I can zoom in on a particular location if I want, and I can see these. I can see anything in transit from library to library. These are scheduled to depart from Moscow Library, so I can scan those in. Or I could say, look at things that are scheduled to arrive, look at things that are currently in transit. I can see a list of holds. And again, just put my laptop on the cart and go out and scan these things back off the shelf and bring them in so that they can be checked out. I can see expired holds. I can do some basic reporting. By default, I'm just seeing the status of different things by loan date, renewal dates, and I can change these around a little bit and also export those. I can also see a pull list. This would be things. So for example, I can just print this or take my laptop with me and go to these call numbers and scan these books in, because if I'm at Moscow Library, I have one hold for Joseph School and I need to bring in and put on my hold shelf. And I have 3 books that need to be pulled off the Moscow Library shelf and sent to neighboring library for interlibrary loan. If I look at neighboring library, nothing needs to be pulled over there. That is everything library high level. I'll go ahead and run over your questions now. So Claire asks, is a patron function only available to the administrator? Yes, and let's go ahead and log back in as a student. So you can see, this is Simon's student. He is just a patron in our library, so we'll take a look at that. So much less stuff that Simon can look out. He's not going to see that pull list or circulation list or list of patrons and see all the other patrons. None of that. Claire also asks, is there a limit to the number of book records we can build in our Populi library? No, there's not. So you can do as many as you want. Thank you for the questions, Claire. Anybody else have questions? It looks like we probably don't, but I'll give you a chance to finish typing out your questions. Claire asks, can we export records from our ILS into Populi? Yes, as long as they're MARC records, then we can import those. You could import them yourself, or we can help you with that, whatever you prefer. And if the importer doesn't work for your particular batch, just let us know and we'll import those for you. If it doesn't come to you in MARC records, we could figure out a way to import that. Also, if it's some kind of just CSV file or database file, we could figure out how to get those into. And Claire says, can we just add links to our existing library webpage to this library? Yes. So this is going to be the link. So if I'm not logged in, it's going to look like this. So if you just link to myurl.populweb.com/library, I think that's pretty much the only link you'll need. Let's see. Yep. So my URL, whatever that is, mine's Schooland here, whatever your school's URL is, .populweb.com/library. If you link that from your web page or wherever you're at, they'll get taken to this page They will be able to search the catalog. They'll be able to see some basic stuff about the books. They won't be able to write reviews or do recommendations. And if they want to actually put a hold on it or anything like that, they have to log in. All right. Very good. Good spending some time with y'all. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And I hope this was helpful. So take care, everybody.